So hey guys, welcome to another Warframe video, and Baro here has come once again, and this time around he landed on the Chroma Relay on Saturn. His inventory is pretty spicy this time around, there's a lot of good stuff in there. So we started off with the Ultra Sentinel Tail. This is an accessory for your Sentinel and it looks pretty damn nice, especially if you're going for that Orokim primed look. After that we have a bunch of mods, starting off with Volcanic Edge, which gives you 60% bonus heat damage and 60% bonus status chance on melee weapons. Following that we have Primed Ravage for 110% bonus crit damage on shotguns, Primed Chilling Grasp for 165% bonus core damage on shotguns, and we top it off with two faction mods, which are Primed Cleanse of Infested for 55% bonus damage to Infested on shotguns, and Primed Bane of Grenier for 55% bonus damage to Grenier on rifles. Next on the menu we have the Prisma Grakata. This is actually a decent hybrid rifle, with its biggest selling point being its ridiculously high fire rate. This thing fires 21.67 rounds per second before mods. Next up we have one of my favorite Captura scenes, which is the Inaros tomb scene. This is a gargantuan Captura scene that has the entire tomb from Sons of Inaros, so the outside bit at the front, all the creepy tunnels that are overgrown with cobwebs, all the little bonus side rooms, as well as the grand hall in the middle with all the Inaros statues. It is one of the biggest Captura scenes in the game. But anyway, next up we have the Baro glyph, which is just Baro's face, so you can show off your love for Baro if that's what you want to do, which is followed up by the Harkonar Wraith armor set. So we have the chest armor, the leg armor, and the arm armor. This is a nice looking set of armor. It has asymmetrical shoulder plates, there's a bit of animation on the chest plate, and the little doohickey on the right shoulder piece actually folds in when you aim down sights so it doesn't get in the way. I'm not the biggest fan of the leg armor, I think it looks a little bit weird, but the rest of this is absolutely fantastic. Moving on to the second page, we start off with the Ampusagatra. This is an accessory for your melee weapon, which sort of dangles off the handle, or both handles if you're dual wielding, and it can be colored separately to your melee weapon. Then we have some operator stuff, more specifically the Katir Atmos mask if you're going for that Bane look. So here's what changing the primary color does, and here is what changing the secondary color does. So basically, primary is the outside bit, secondary is the inside bit. After the Bane mask, we have the Katir Raza Siandana. This is basically the basic Katir Siandana, but without the cloth. I'm not the biggest fan of this, but it's not a bad looking Siandana. I personally prefer the Harkonar Wraith Cloak, which is the next item on the menu. This, unsurprisingly, fits really well with the Harkonar Wraith armor that Baro also brought this time around, and it's just a really nice looking Siandana. There's a ton of detail on this, it looks nice, and it's not too big while also being fairly stiff, so it doesn't flap around too much and doesn't obstruct the camera as you're bullet jumping and rolling around. Up next we have one of the free quote-unquote color palettes, the Eminence color palette, and while it mostly consists of purples, blues and grays, there are some nice colors in there, so definitely pick it up. Moving on to the second weapon, which is the Supra Vandal. This is actually a very solid primary nowadays. It has a massive magazine, decent fire rate, and does primarily puncture. I recently made a video about this and it performed really well even in Steel Path thanks to the changes to puncture and cold. If you build it for corrosive and cold, you're gonna get far more crit, so it actually does decent damage. Then he also brought the Ampu staff skin. This is kind of a Baro themed skin for staves and it looks really nice, so if you're not a big fan of maybe the bow, maybe bow prime, you can definitely slap this on and make it look much better. Then comes our second Sentinel accessory, the Katir Wings. These look pretty good, they're fairly big and they fit most Sentinels really well. These are going to be nice to have soon TM once they effectively make Sentinels immortal, so you can actually see the damn things. Next up we have the Machete Siakit skin, which makes your machete look like a scythe, which is kind of strange, but it is a very nice looking skin. Then he brought some stuff for your Orbiter as well. First up we have the Desert Skate Fluff, which is very cute, and I even have it in my Orbiter, as well as the domestic Katir Drone, which is just a Baro themed Roomba that will zoom around your Orbiter. Then comes the Chroma Immortal skin, and now this is probably my favorite Immortal skin. It looks very trippy, but in a good way. I like it far more than all the other Immortal skins. Some of the other Immortal skins, to me anyway, kind of look like your Warframe was left in a room with an ill-behaved child that had a marker and scribbled all over it, whereas this one just looks nice. And we're slowing it in the end with the Lunar Renewal Tiger Sigil. This is a cool looking sigil that you can put on either the front or the back of your frame. He also brought the Oris Raifit statue, which is bigger than I expected it to be. It's bigger than most fluffs actually, and it looks really nice. There's a bit of animation to it as well. Then, as always, he brought the Sons of Inaros questline blueprint, which is the item you need if you want to get Inaros, and he topped it off with the Fate Path Ephemera. This is the most basic ephemera that you can get, and it's extraordinarily cheap, so you might as well get it. Now, as far as my recommendation this time around, I would go for Volcanic Edge if you don't don't have it yet, because it's always nice to have all the dual stat mods. Then I would get Prime Ravage, because we have a decent amount of crit-based shotguns nowadays, as well as Prime Chilling Grasp, which just adds a ton of damage. And I also kind of want to recommend Prime Bane of Grenier as well, because it is one of the better faction combination, right? It's for rifles and versus the Grenier, that's pretty good. And finally, I would also like to recommend the Supra Vando, because while it might not be the best rifle in the world, when you build it for a corrosive and cold hybrid, it can take on Steel Path and it's really fun. Though at the end of the day, these are just my personal recommendations, so if all you want to do is just to buy a bunch of fancy cosmetics, go right ahead. And that is pretty much it for the video, so I thank you very much for watching. As always guys, I hope you've enjoyed the video and found it helpful. I would like to extend a special thank you to all the channel members. Thank you very much guys, I really appreciate your support. And if you would like to become a channel member as well, by the way, you can check out the memberships and stuff down below. And I'll see you next time. Bye bye.